It says live on streaming, on custom live streaming service.
Oh, it does say live. I think we're live. That's fantastic.
Congratulations. You did it.
I feel good about this. All right, let's see if, oh yeah, there it is. All right, let's see if anyone comments.
It's like, are you watching it while you're...
Well, what I got yesterday was people were actually, like, someone came in while I was, because it notifies people, like, people follow.
Ben is now
like, it
live.
knows them that I'm live, right? So anyways, we are live, everyone. So say hello to Tina and I.
I barely know how to feel about this.
I know.
How do I feel about this?
I
don't know. It's exciting. It's a new sensation. We need a soundtrack.
I got approved for LinkedIn Live. I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, and I was super frustrated because I was mad that they didn't have live and they had live, and then I had to apply, and then I got it, right? And then and then it was like, you need to use a third-party app, and I'm like, I don't know how to use any of these things, and then I thought I had to pay for it all, right? And I was like, this is ridiculous,
right?
So yesterday I was on this like conference thing, virtual conference for my friend Ryan, and this lady was like, she's all about live streaming, and so she's like, you got to just do it. And so I asked her the question through the chat, was like, what platform are you using? And she's like, try this Restream.io. It's easy, just try it. I was like, so I got on for like a minute yesterday. So what Tina and I had to figure out today was we have to figure out the Zoom. Can we do it through Zoom so we can take some of our podcasts maybe and put them live or do some live stuff? So
it'll be exciting. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? We're going to need like a, like a buzzer, someone to be the buzzer for when I say bad words.
I mean, you're not the only problem.
I know, it's true. It does happen. It does happen.
We've got 2 people that said hi. There we go.
Oh, look at. Now, see, I can't see them saying hi. So it must be only for you. Oh, because it's
in LinkedIn.
It's in LinkedIn.
So if you click on LinkedIn, you're going to see that there's people's, maybe you could probably write comments.
That's too much distraction for me. Then I would get all, that's like when when someone's trying to talk to you and you're like watching TV, you can't keep track of both of those things.
Right.
That's too much for me.
Well, I think we're going to have to get used to it because this is like the future.
New world.
This conference gave me some ideas around potentially doing like, so my friend Ryan Coral, I'll give him props. He's in the digital marketing space, I guess, I wouldn't even consider Ryan. He does video for companies.
Right.
But he also does podcasts, and he's like, so he got this free, 2-day virtual like conference webinar sessions, and every hour on the hour from 9 till 6 yesterday, they had someone on the hour that he was like, yesterday. And I ended up watching the whole thing.
Time is very amorphous.
Time is relative.
We don't know.
And then he's doing the same thing today. So they take a little break from noon to 1 or whatever. But so anyways, a number of those people were challenging me to think a little bit differently about how to, produce like what content to give out and give everything out, basically, as everyone was saying, is like, just do as much you can and add value to people and keep it real for people. And so I thought, well, and then one of the people in particular, she was big on live streaming and saying like live streaming is the future. If everyone needs to be thinking about how they're going to be doing live streaming in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not on Facebook, and so Facebook's probably been better at Facebook. Facebook Live has probably been better. And Instagram is also good, but Instagram's like you have to use your phone, which is obnoxious, to be honest. So I was like, well, I don't know how to like. But then I thought, well, maybe we could just do. So here's some of my thoughts, and I would love to get people's thoughts on what this is. And certainly, Tina, you tell me, because I haven't told you anything of this. So
no, it's all news to me. Everybody, we're all in this together, friends.
So
it's all fresh.
It's all fresh. So I thought, well, it'd be, one idea was for my sales people that are in customer service, customer facing people that are in my vendor side of my people in our community, that they most of them, if they were honest, probably aren't doing as much as they used to be doing.
Right.
Because there just isn't, like, people aren't responding, like providers aren't going to be talking, so I thought it'd be cool if we could do some basically live sessions. And I asked Brian, to like do a session next week, and was
cool.
like, hey, what if we just did a session that was like, we've been talking about doing day in the life of the CF, or VP of Rev Cycle,
right?
But like just doing it for free. Like that's part of our academy, but it was like, oh, we'll just do it for free and just see what people like. If people like that, is that something people would resonate with? And then the other idea I had was of doing, I was getting a bigger idea of doing like a whole virtual day, like kind of like Ryan did, and bringing in people. But then I thought like people can't take a whole day, at least not in our world right now. But I thought it would be cool to kind of have people highlight what are they doing in Rev Cycle right now to maybe bring more cash in to like. So I had two companies that I've been talking that are friends of ours. Shay, Shay Eskew. So Shay was saying,
hi Shay.
Hey, we're doing. Hey Shay,
do we shout out during these things?
Like, yeah, but I guess so. I don't know. Hey. There's no rules. So Shay was saying, hey, Kemerton's doing this thing where they're getting, we're looking for our clients, we're just going to look back at 3 to 4 years, depending on your state, of all auto claims that didn't pay, motor vehicle accidents that were zero pay.
Right.
And we'll go through them all, and we'll do it on a contingency fee. And I was like, that's brilliant. Because of course, every time they find money that they can, go bill for and collect. And so I'm like, well, that's brilliant. He's like, it's like, no, like, it's not even a big deal. They would just give them access and then give them the file, tell them which ones, and they would just look at them all, right? They'd do all the work. Well, I was like, that's brilliant. And then these other guys at Revent, my friend Adam, they were saying a similar thing, but they were looking back at denials, right? And so they were taking all denials and like zero balance, and just saying, we're just go through the 2 years worth and see what we could find. It's like digging for gold, basically.
Sure. Right, but at least there's a high likelihood there's the percentage of money you're going to find, right? The math is good on that.
Right. You're going to find something.
Right, it's
and
a good bet. Right.
It was like one of those things where I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder, there's got to be other, not just vendors, but providers as well. Like, hey, this is what we're doing to bring cash in. This is what instead of doing X, we did Y. And has everyone thought of that? And just maybe even if we did a 10, 15 minutes with people and just maybe did it over over 2 hours. And like, so that was my thought, was just like, how can we do something that doesn't cost anyone anything and be, I don't know.
Well, and it serves our community, which is really what we're here for, right? It helps our vendor friends, come up with ideas, things they haven't maybe thought of, and our Rev Cycle leaders to engage with their vendors maybe in a new way that they aren't even considering. I mean, especially with what we've learned over these past couple of weeks on our town hall meetings, of just the flat line of revenue or the flat line of non-existent revenue. What do we call that? I mean, I think anything that can shine a light on some funds that are hiding in a corner somewhere has got to be helpful to somebody.
Right.
I mean, it's got to be a really rough spot to be in on both sides. From both a vendor product side and a leadership side, just looking kind of into the abyss, trying to find a way to do something new.
Right. Yeah. So that would be, so I don't know. That's the hard part, is I don't know if provider leaders they're just too busy and they're not going to dial in, but maybe we don't care. Maybe we just say it's out there and people get it out there, and
we can always refer people to it. And
I guess it would record, wouldn't it? I'm assuming.
I don't know.
We're gonna find out, everybody. We don't know what we're doing.
We're only live. It's like a blip. It's happening now and then it's over. Like, that's it.
I talked to my friend Christine, who so kindly was wanted to talk. She had just kind of left her job and she's in the marketing space and RevCycle, and she was so kind, and she was just, how did you do it? And we were talking through like stuff. I'm like, man, half the time, more than half the time, I don't know what I'm doing. like last week I taught myself InDesign. You may not even know what that is.
And look at you go.
And then I'm like, hey, I figured it out, So it's like, but at first when you're stepping into it, anything like this, I don't know how this works,
It's just
we have our first question. Mayank's had a question in. All right. He says, because of this COVID situation, census has gone down by 40% for hospitals. When do you think hospitals will be back with occupancy and beds? Well, I would say census is probably 40% down, but outpatient volumes are 60 to 70, maybe even 80% down in some places. So, revenue's off probably 50% or so. At the same time last year for most places. As they say, I don't know what they call phasing one. Phase one is like you can start to bring in elective surgeries start back in. I would say those are going to come back in. There's some data now suggesting that, it's not going to be 100% of everybody who wanted to have a surgery pre.
Really?
So the data is suggesting now that like there's, I think it was like 27%, we're probably going to be elected either waiting longer or not doing it. And so it's not going to be as big of a demand as probably what I originally thought, at least initially. So it's going to have to be staggered in. They'll have to be very selective on, what service lines they would bring back in, what surgeries they would do, I would say. The other thing is interesting is I don't know if most people thought about this, but when the recession happened in 2006 through 8 or 9 or whatever that was, that time period, hospital volumes, revenue was off, but it was off like 1 to 3%, depending on where. And what the thought was, most people were staying away from hospitals in general, right? They were like putting off care. Some of that comes back because they get sick enough and they get really, but some of that doesn't. Some people just get better and they don't, whatever, they just live with it, or it turns into something else, or they actually just weren't even that sick, right? So a lot of people are seeing like ER volumes like cut in half or more. This is a New York City had an article just about this recently, and they're like, hey, if you're sick, come to the ER, basically. And it was like, I don't think that's, we've always struggled with ER being a place that people are going with a cold. Oh, my cat's right there. And this is what happens.
Welcome to
my
the
office
cat.
mate. She's very finicky. I don't know. So you probably heard that. So yeah, I don't know. Man, it was a good question. I think, it's going to take a while for censuses to like volumes to be back up. I would say I would not expect that to happen until, mid-late summer. That would be my take, but I don't know. And summers are usually down anyways because people don't want to have elective surgeries in the summertime. So if I had like my dad was scheduled to have a total knee done. He's got to have both done actually, which is another subject. But they canceled, he canceled that. They canceled obviously. But, if I'm him, I'm not going to go have that done immediately. I'm probably going to wait. I'm going to wait till this passes a little bit.
Yeah. Some fresh air blows through those hospitals. That's how I feel personally.
Yeah. So Satish writes in, he said maybe August for the reason you mentioned. People will stay away from hospitals. 100% volumes probably Jan 2021. Am I a pessimist? I mean, I don't know if you're a pessimist. I would think that as long as there's not a secondary recurrence, if there's a secondary recurrence where it pops back up and blows up again in the fall, then obviously all bets are off. I don't know what that would look like. But I think if it kind of goes like this, where some people get sick, and which is what I imagine it's going to be like, and until we have a vaccine, then yeah, I would say probably the fall, late fall. I don't know about January, but maybe the fall. I don't know. It's crazy.
It is. just reinforces my ideas about wellness. I just like take care of this, be well,
Take care of that. Yeah. I don't think there's any like immediate. Anyways, well, good. Excellent. Well, we had 8 people on our live. This is cool. I don't know how to tell who they are, but
thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks for joining
everyone.
us. Thanks for being part of our experiment. And we'll try this again with more interesting people. Not that we're not terrifically interesting, but
Yeah, so I've got a number of people lined up we are lining up our podcast, and I think what maybe we could do is do the podcast, but do it live, like stream it live.
Sure.
It could be cool. I mean, even if we don't, but then we could get people that could interact like we're doing right now, which would be fun. But man, we've got
we could take live questions.
I know, that's what I mean, right? So, but I've reached out to a number of those people I heard from yesterday and was like, you should be on my podcast.
Nice.
So there's this girl, Megan Refuse, who runs this whole company, but she's like a psychotherapist, and she talked about imposter syndrome, and it was Nate's talked about that a bunch, but like it was awesome, and I was like, you've got to be on the podcast. We got to do a whole session on this. So she works specifically with entrepreneurs.
Oh,
I was like, how cool is that? Yeah, she's in Canada.
Fantastic.
And she's Canadian.
Yeah, so there's perhaps that. Perhaps I should talk to her. Not only because she's Canadian, but because because I even struggle with the label of entrepreneur. So that feels very wrong to me.
Well, I keep hearing this new term, intrapreneur. This is like
what is that?
It's like your yourself, your individual. You're just you. So I would say we're probably intrapreneurs.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Maybe,
but I don't. It's really hard to put a label on it.
Like, well, we're gonna do a session on trust out of the HBR article. So I think Tiffany's gonna join us for that. I'm trying to get some others.
Fantastic.
Trying to get a couple hospital executives actually. So we're gonna talk to my friend Rand, the CEO of a health system, and then Ed Lovren, who's the CEO of a medical center in Atlanta. So I'm trying to get those guys to
nice.
So talking to them and so hear what those guys are working on. Then we've got some more provider leaders in the rev cycle space that we're pulling together and hearing what's happening there. We're doing one on marketing next Tuesday, and the marketing in the post COVID era. What does that look like for healthcare people?
Right. Well, I think, cool. We've already learned is this is going to be a huge part of it. And what I already see with some of the clients that I work with is that, man, the more human you can be, that's the way to go. That authenticity, vulnerability, slice of life, that's seems to be the way to go. But I can't wait to hear what our guests have to say.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be good. Cool. All right. Well, this is our first try. I think it was pretty good.
Yay.
Thanks, everybody.
We did it.
All right. Well, I don't know how to stop this, so we're going to figure it out.
Right. So just stay, keep smiling.